All right, guys. So here we are. Once again, I got my headphones on, but I switched back to my. Sorry, guys. Let me take these off. I switched back to my Enogear Phantom power supply because, like I said, I don't really like using this, and I'm gonna touch on it just for a brief second. But if you'll notice, see the Velcro, it kind of wraps everything up. I got an XLR cable, the iRig, and you could probably make it a little neater. I just did that quickly, but yeah, it's all right there in a nice little bundle. You can throw it in a bag, and there you go. All you got to do is grab a mic and take it with you. Anyway, but that's it on that. The other thing that I was going to touch on just briefly for a moment, uh, got me an Xbox One S for Christmas, Battlefield Edition. First game system I've ever had, uh, other than Nintendo products. And my kids have had PlayStations and Xboxes through the years, and I've played plenty of games. I mean, it's not that, and I've got a nice computer that I play a lot of these games on as well. But it so yeah, it's the first modern system that I've ever owned, and I kind of like it. It's pretty cool, pretty cool. Uh, so my call sign on there is the same as it is on here, Jedi Daddy 76. So you want to play Battlefield One? I'm there. You know, just look me up. We'll play. Uh, pretty cool game. Pretty realistic in a lot of different ways. They did a lot of research about the weaponry and all that good stuff, so it's pretty awesome. Uh, but yeah, this is just kind of a chewing the fat video. Uh, talking a little bit about something other than Shmuel for a minute. Not that talking about Shmuel's a bad thing, but just chewing the fat. Uh, growing my beard. Been doing that for a little while. Y'all probably been noticing, but it's getting long. It's getting long. I want it to get longer. I want it down here. It's getting there. See, there's my chin right there. So it's getting there. Anyway, but yeah, Super Bowl last night was. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not supposed to say that word. I'm in trouble. The big game last night was uh, interesting, disappointing, but interesting because in the end, I'm ready to move on from Bill and his guys, and let's get some different teams winning. Now I'm a Cowboys fan, so I've got that bias going on as well. But I would have I wouldn't have mind seeing Atlanta win last night, but it wasn't in the stars, so to speak. So oh well, that's how the ball bounces sometimes. Uh, we're in some exciting times, I guess, politically for some people. Uh, Here in Texas, we got some things going on, which are good news, potentially, if they'll ever go to vote. Uh, Permitless carry, some people might call it constitutional carry, is before our Congress here. Uh, on a federal level, you have the Hearing Protection Act. Make sure that you tell your senators that you want, and your congressmen, that you want the Hearing Protection Act in place. Uh, it allows for silencers. Well, let's not call them silencers because they're technically not silencers. That's a confusing term because realistically they are suppressors. And if you educate yourself on them, actually what you'll find out is both sides of the aisle should support this. Because let's say somebody breaks into your house in the middle of the night. Are you going to have time to put hearing protection in your ears before you have to potentially pull your weapon out and take care of things? No, you're not going to have time. Okay, it's going to be, get up, grab it, and do your thing. That being said, the Hearing Protection Act takes suppressors off of the NFA list. In other words, you don't have to go through the process of a $200 tax stamp and setting up a third party entity or corporation or anything in order to buy a suppressor. It'll put suppressors in a reasonable range for average citizens because all it would require is a standard background check the way that you get when you purchase a firearm, which is still an adequate background check. It's done by the FBI. Okay, everybody gets it. Okay, so like I said, this is just chewing the fat. It's everything, but so support that because that's a good thing. It's good for people's hearing. I mean, even hunting. If you're at the range, everybody, wants to talk about noise pollution and everything else. Well, this is one way to help reduce it. So let's, get that passed. And I mean, and if you're worried about, well, it makes guns more deadly. No, it doesn't. It makes it less deadly. Suppressors actually slow down the projectile. They don't speed it up. In fact, for a suppressor to work most effectively, you have to use a slower moving projectile, something that's not going to be supersonic, as they call it, something that actually is a subsonic round, and it will affect all rounds, but the most effect is on those that are subsonic, and so which are slower moving rounds. So that makes them less lethal. So that should make some of y'all happy as well. I'm not going into all the conservative versus liberal and blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying, hey, guns are something that both sides of the aisle like. There are people on both sides of the aisle that support the Second Amendment. Okay? So, regardless, support that. That's all I can tell you on that one. That's a good bill, and let's get this thing pushed through and make life a little easier on everybody, huh? Let's get the government out of our lives a little bit and move on. Anyway, so we're getting pretty close, if not right at the point of where Zen, I'll call it Zen, but it's AMD's new processors are coming out. They're supposed to be really awesome. I'm kind of excited. I want to build a new computer, hopefully sometime this year. And so I'm going to wait and see what happens with those. So right now I'm just running a FX 8350, which is a good solid processor, AMD. I'm an AMD guy. I'm not that big on Intel. I like the multitasking capabilities of AMD. so I can do 3 or 4 things at once, and it keeps the speed up. Uh, Intel, awesome at a single process. Really awesome at a single process. I'm not putting them down whatsoever. My preference is AMD. Uh, and Intel is catching up on a lot of the multitasking. Okay, so they are getting better and better at multitasking. Uh, but if AMD is anywhere near what they're claiming this new chip will do, Intel's going to have possibly some more catching up in that arena to do, because AMD will be good at both multitasking and single process speed. So, we'll see what happens. But anyway, so that's about all I have to say about that topic. I don't know. If you got anything you want to talk about, chew the fat about, just hit a line. You know, type it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Anyway, but we'll see you in the funny papers.